those questions. What are you trying to achieve, and how can I help you achieve that goal?
So for me, mixing in a box is just, it's one of the illest things, because I can, like, y'all don't understand. Just, I can print stems at home. I can do everything sitting on my couch at home when I'm done with the mix. Like, or say, you know, I do a mix and somebody has notes, and say we went home for the day. In the analog world, that means coming all the way back in, doing a complete recall, like spending another $2,000. A recall is never exactly the same as, you know what I mean, as in the analog world, because there's a big difference if the knob is here and here. That little small turn make a big difference. You know what I mean? And then the assistant trying to get everything back. Or that studio that we did it in that day might not be available for another 2 weeks because so-and-so got it, and I'm trying to replicate the exact gear. It's just crazy.
The story of my life.
Yeah, so doing it in the box is just easier for me. And I've gotten my sound doing it in the box.
Right. Well, one question I love asking, we've got different answers from everybody else. What's that one song that you hear to this day that you, when you hear it, you're like, I could have did more, I hate it right now, based off of your work? You know, obviously as you grow over your career, it's like, damn, I could have fixed that.
I never really have that emotion, and not that my mixes are perfect. This is why. I look at the mix as the way I felt on that particular day. That's it. Like, on a different day, I'm gonna feel different, and the mix might come out different. You know what I'm saying? But on that particular day, that's how I felt. Is it things where I go back and be like, damn, I wish I had? Yeah, but it wouldn't be that song. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be that song. That's just how I felt on that particular day. That's it. Like, and I accept. That's the thing of, like, either you're gonna release it to the world, or you're just gonna be hoarding it. Like, it's probably a couple people in this audience that got 100 songs on their hard drive that they ain't put out to the world yet, because they like, it ain't really all the way right. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Man, yo, just release it. Release it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
let go, that hurt, girl.
Yeah, like, Knife is my business partner. He's one of the main ones that taught me, like, yo, just release. He don't care. Just release it, release it, release it, release it. And that's it. Like, we got this saying, pause, die empty. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean by that? It's like, just let everything out. Because once you go, it's like we in a Prince situation. You know what I mean? Where the music is on a hard drive, but I don't really want to hear the Prince undone song unless, because Prince would mix it, he would do stuff at the mix. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear the idea. I want to hear the way he would have did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, release everything.
So what are your thoughts on the people that say quality over quantity?
No, if that's the way that you do it. I'm not saying don't edit yourself.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I do way more deleting than I do saving. You know what I'm saying? I do way more. I don't like that. Boom. Just get it out of here. I don't like that. Boom. But the things that I have that are like halfway done, and you didn't finish it off, finish it. Put it out. Like, that's the whole point. Don't have 100 undone songs on your hard drive.
No,
you ain't, for what? Get them off your hard drive.
And let me tell you what was doing when Dre brought in Kendrick to work on Detox, right? Like, Dre had a stack of drives, like all unreleased music. Like, and we start going through these drives, and we're hearing like incredible, like he could have dropped 13 incredible
detoxes.
Incredible detoxes. And that shit is like, just let it go. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's for the people.
You spoke to something earlier, Guru, about your location. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask. Like, obviously you took the route in the initiative to figure out, okay, I'm gonna go to DC, I'm gonna go to Philly, I'm gonna figure this plan out. Now that people, the internet, you know, there's plenty of resources out there. That person that's sitting in your situation, where you were from, in Delaware, can they make a viable career today, being at home, or do they still have to go to these major cities?
It's two ways to answer this, right? Number one, when the internet came about, and because of the fact that you now have the access to, like, make your song at home, to upload the song, you have a power that I didn't have at that given moment, right? Like I said, we had to pay for studio time. But it's also a negative to that too, because it became so much more noise, right? So I tell my students all the time, it's not only about getting good, it's about getting above the noise, because now everybody makes music. Everybody's an engineer, everybody's a producer, everybody's a rapper. You gotta get above the noise, and sometimes the way to get above the noise is to go to the places. You don't necessarily have to move there, you know what I'm saying? But physically going there, meeting people, that old school thing thing of like being in somebody's face, buying somebody a drink, having dinner with somebody, having a physical meeting with that person. You know what I mean? Then you can follow up with emails and do all that type of thing. But to say, is it possible? Yes, it's possible, but it's a better advantage for you to see people in person, to go to certain scenes where things are happening, when you can like, and it makes me upset that the New York City, like, you know, scene of the studio is slowly being removed. You know what I'm saying? So then it's like, okay, well, you got to pick other places. Now Atlanta is that, you know what I mean, that replacement thing. So now it's Atlanta, Tennessee, and LA. You gotta go where people are doing that thing.
How do you reinvent that though? How do you create a scene in a location as big as New York? You know what I mean? Or any location itself? How do you actually build something like that?
Well, I mean, the thing in New York that broke the scene was the fact that everybody started recording at home. You know what I mean? It used to be a circuit. It used to be like, okay, I'm gonna be at the Hit Factory, but then I'm gonna walk up the block to Sony just to peek my head in there to see who's in there recording, and I'm gonna have my beats on me, you know what I mean, sort of thing. And then you go down to, you know what I mean, down the quad, and then it was like a whole little circuit that you would go on. It used to be times where I didn't have no session, and I would get up in Jersey, hop the train, come over to New York, just in case somebody needed me on that day. I was already available. Def Jam might call at like 1 in the afternoon, like, yo, can you do this? But I'm already here, bro. I'm already here.
Can you speak to that? Is there one particular memory that you remember, like you said, you just hopped up and went there, not even having a session, but it ended up being something where it's a smash or a hit to this day?
I'd probably say the first time that me and Just got together, you know what I'm saying, which was, I'm trying to remember this. So what actually happened was Brian Stanley, who's another great like black engineer, was having a kid. And it was one of those days where I had jumped up and was like, yo, I'm going to the city. So Brian was like, yo, can you fill in for me on this session? So the session was a Memphis Bleak session. So Just was there, you know what I mean, as a newer producer, filling in and being like, yo, okay, we're gonna fill in whatever, you know what I mean, you need on your album. So Just did a beat for Bleak. And it was just striking to me because he took the actual Simpty, I forget the name of the song, but he took Simpty and he was like, Goo, put the Simpty in the beat machine. So for people that don't know, Simpty is what would lock the beat machine. So you put that in the Simpty port, right? He was like, no, put it in the input. I want to sample the Simpty, right? It was a code. I was like, oh, this dude is ill. So that same day, while Bleak is doing that record, Jay just decided to stop by, right? To hear what Bleak was doing. So then Just is making a beat in the headphones. So Jay's like, yo, what is that, right? First, you know what I mean, first, and Jay was like, you know, first day I'm really meeting him and getting to work with him. So Bleak got done. Jay was like, yo, take my reel, put my reel up, and the beat that Just was working on was, I think, Stick to the Script. So it was like, just all of that happened just on some like, I was in the city ready to go. You know what I mean? Sort of thing.
I have a philosophy, a lot of the homies have the same thing too, just pull up. A lot of opportunities just literally happen just by being there, by pulling up. You can make all these ideas up, you can dream, you can fantasize, like Ali was talking about, like you can envision things, but the other part of that,
if you execute.
You gotta execute.
And you gotta go and be able to see things that other people can't see and actually go after them. So for like, when I was in Crazy Cat, for a minute, Derek was renting a studio from Jimmy Henchman, right? That was Jimmy Henchman's studio while he was locked up. Derek was renting a studio. Jimmy come home, I was still working at that studio, right? So then it was like, I'm in this in-between time, and I'm like, yo, I want to venture out on my own and be an independent engineer. So at that time, I didn't have no examples. We didn't have no like, young black dudes that was really doing it. The only one that I knew was Doro. That was the only one I actually like knew. So I'm like, well, who manages Doro? You know what I mean? And then I searched out for at least a good week to find his manager, because I'm like, if I can find whoever this person is, they can help me. So it just so happened I'm in the studio pissed, because I'm like, I know I gotta know somebody to know this person. The girl who worked the front desk of the studio was like, oh, I know his manager, right? This girl named L'Oreal, and I give her the credit to this day. I ended up getting her number, I call her, and I'm like, yo, I know how to work everything. I know how to do da-da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? And then the very next day, she had me in a session with DMX. So it's just like, it's like going after, you know what I mean? But I searched for that. I went and found it to find like, this is my next step to be able to move out and be independent on my own. And then it was like, getting them opportunities and making sure that I'm killing it while I'm in there. And then that was just a weird thing to a bunch of people. Like, it sound normal now, but like, it's plenty of times when people will walk in and be like, are you like, you work here at the studio? You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, you're the engineer? I'd be like, yeah. Because it was just foreign back then, you know what I'm saying? You didn't see young black guys that was engineers. And then once they found out like you knew what you're doing, it was off to the races. They wanted, that's the reason me and Bleak got so cool. Because he was like, nah, I need him back.
That's so telling too, because it's one of those things where people are seeing this and they're like, oh shit, like I can't believe that you have this not necessarily the knowledge, but it's something about your personality and energy where it seems like that's innate in you. Like, was there something that kicked off this drive, this hunger, this want? Because for the people that don't have it, earlier on, like, what advice would you give them to try to discover that?
I mean, one, I think my situation is just special. I'm real appreciative of the fact that my father's in my life my whole time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like one of the only dudes that I grew up with that had his pop like the whole time. You know what I mean? My pop was like the pop to the neighborhood type dude. Number one, he pushed me, you know what I mean? And I have real, like, that thing. But it was seeing people around me, and I wasn't in a jealous mood. I was just in this, like, everybody around me is getting it, and I gotta go get it. You know what I mean? Seeing what, like, happened from, you gotta remember, I get to Howard in 1992, so like Diggable Planets is like walking around, you know what I mean? Our campus, Shy, the R&B group is singing in the corner, they make it, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so many people that was making it. And then Derek and Ron had a group called Two Kings in a Cypher. Right? I'm dating myself with all of this, right? But they had a song before Bad Boy. So it's like seeing people that's like sort of touching it, but not getting it. And then when Puff came and did what he did, it was just like, yo, there's no way. I'm sitting in class and I'm just watching them rule Billboard for like all of 95. And I'm like, yo, I gotta go get it.
Niggas get money. That's like that inspiration you can't pay for, or you can't find nowhere else. It's like just them little stories that Guru talking about, like seeing like me, Kendrick, and Q sharing $4 to go get a bucket of chicken, like, and seeing where they at now. It's like, nigga, like I gotta strap my shit up and get to it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you spoke to something earlier, Ali, about you having that 2018 or 2017 was like that year for you. You like, y'all gotta figure this shit out. For you, what was that moment where you're like, okay, I gotta reinvent myself? And I know it constantly happening, you're always evolving. So speak to one of the last moments that you did that I think people get.
It's probably like two big moments, right? Where, I'll give you the story so you understand what it was. I go from, let's say, 1999, 2000, right? All the way to like say 2010, I'm in the same room every day, cranking out hits, doing what we doing, and it would be a rotation, right? It'd be a Jay-Z album every November, so we do him like September, October, but it's like a rotation. I'm doing Jay, then it goes to Beans, then it goes to Bleak, then it goes to Cameron, then it goes to MOP, then it goes to Young Guns, then back to Jay, then back to Bleak. So I'm doing this over and over again, right, for all these years. So I'm in this one room. So then I was like, yo, I want to go out into the world in 2010. So Jay was like, all right, come on the road with me and DJ for me on the road. And I got back to DJing, and the first time I got in the club, I was horrible. And it was like, yo, the whole thing done changed. I'm gonna take this to engineering, but this is what sparked my mentality. I was like, yo, like, people don't play second verses in the party no more, right? Like, people don't, like, all of these things that had changed from when I was out DJing. And the music was different. So I was like, yo, I gotta start understanding. And that made me start analyzing myself and being like, yo, what's the things I gotta do to change so I'm updated with the times? I never wanna be behind the times. And not just because he's sitting here, like, a big part of it is listening to him. You know what I mean? Listening to Ali, or like little things that Ali don't know that sped up my workflow. Like, we was in the studio one time, bro, and I was clip gaining, but I was doing clip gain the old way. Like, I would highlight the thing, I would press Command E, I would go to the audio suite, and I would then bring it in. And he was like, yo, you know it's a quick key for that, right? Like, you know, you can just, that shit sped up. I was like, oh shit. It's like getting these little tips and tricks from people that respected me, but they don't know they teaching me at the same time. And I was like, I gotta change the way that I'm thinking about, you know what I mean, what I'm doing. And I started getting into, like, I took a straight week of just studying all the new plugins. I was like, I just want to know what all the new plugins do. I started figuring out like different ways to do different vocals, and like, I think a culmination of that is the Meek album. You know what I mean? If you listen to
Killed it.
like a lot of the like stutter edits and things that are on there, that's like my guy Volley, who's my artist, you know what I mean? Me and him got a group together, but like he be killing the stutter edits, and I was like, yo, how do you, what is that? How do you, when it first came out, I was like, how do you do that? I gotta incorporate this, you know what I mean? And those sort of things are like things that I wouldn't have done in the past. I would have just gave you, you know what I mean, a couple little reverbs or whatever, or, you know, we didn't have time to, we doing this so fast, I didn't necessarily have time to hit the producers where I was like, yo, we doing the mix on this day, I need you to come here and do this. So a lot of the creative part, I had to get in there and do to make the record sound interesting. So those things are the times when you like really gotta switch up what you do, and like the culmination of like everything I've been studying is probably on that Meek album.
And also real quick, Ted, like a lot of things that he talking about is testament to like just like how I'm moving forward in my own career. Like doing Roddy Ricch's album, right? Like there was so long with me understanding just the old, not understanding, but just me like stuck in my old ways of the old fundamental ways of how I used to mix my records. And approaching Roddy Ricch's album, it was just like just understanding what's going on now, understanding how I can learn from my peers, and understanding how to fully listen to the producers. I'm sitting in a Grammy meeting with Mustard, and Mustard is telling me, yo, I hate kicks. Like I wish kicks didn't I wish kicks didn't I wish we didn't need kicks and mixes. And like that conversation is what took me towards like this next album, because like, long story short, like in 2019, I had to kind of re-look at my whole process on mixing records. And like I mentioned earlier, I was so stuck on the old Dre way of teaching me by having the kicks and snares be the most dominant sounds. I had to learn from what's going on today. I had to learn from my peers and realize that it's all bass driven. So how can I create a sound that's bass driven, but also you're getting the clarity from the analog warmth. You're getting these certain things that I want to bring into this new decade, but I also have to appreciate where music is today. You know, I'm kind of babbling, but everything Gomer is saying is an affirmation on knowing that, you know, just learning from your peers and always be a student, bro, like you cannot lose at the end of the day.
Is there any time that you've ever had, and either you can answer this question, have you had to turn a session down or turn something down based off of what you don't believe in? Like, I remember one of the questions you guys asked, like, what are you trying to accomplish? And maybe that conversation will play out, but not with, I can't do this, but it just may not align with what, you know, you're trying to do.
2017, it was a year, it was the most lucrative year of my life, but I was the most miserable. I was depressed, I'm taking Adderalls, I'm doing drugs so I can stay up late. Like, it was like a fucked up year, and I realized that I'm doing things that aren't like helping my well-being. Like, I become a robot. You know, as an engineer, you say yes to everything, and people don't care how many days it takes for you to get them things done. They want them done. So once I got out of 2017, 2018, 2019 came, I realized turning down projects because I can finally say no to people kind of made me who I am today. Like, I learned patience, I learned how to, I kind of got the love back for the art. You know, 2017, like so much work came my way, I couldn't turn it down because it's like, yo, all this money's being thrown at me. How can I say no to this shit? But once you finally start picking projects that you want to take because you genuinely have a love for it, it takes you back to the passion that you once had and once you got into the game.
I mean, I definitely am at the point where I can turn down sessions. You know what I mean? When you first start, you gotta do what you gotta do. But when you get to that point, it's just like, yo, you gotta really realize, like, this is part of your legacy. You know what I mean? So have I mixed records that I don't necessarily like? Yeah. But once you get to a certain point, you like, I don't necessarily want to be around that, or I may just, you may have the greatest records and I may love the records, but I may hate the energy of the artist. I just don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around that.
The energy of the artist is important, bro. Like, how do you expect to mix, how do you expect to sit with an artist for 10, 15 hours a day if you just a bitch ass nigga? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, it's just like, bro, like, what you want me to do?
Well, what did you learn about yourself from Calvin's album, from Meek's album, from Jay's album? Like, what do you take something away every single album and say, damn, I actually can apply this to life? Also, philosophical shit, but do you apply that to your life, or it's just, you know, it is all the day's work?
Nah, it's definitely things you take. It's more like experiences and things like that. You know what I mean? Like the things you go through while making the album. One, you test yourself. I always try to test myself and push myself to a certain degree. But I take, you know, making 444 was like, you know, we had more conversation every day, you know what I mean, about life and about where we was at and about grown men, you know what I mean? We at this point where it's like Jay 50, I'm 45, like it's grown man time for us, but we have an expression of being honest all the time. That's one thing I can say. It's like it's constantly therapeutic because it's honest music. And it's no lies inside of the music. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But it's also pushing yourself. Just constantly trying to reinvent and not be stale and not be old and not trying to repeat yourself. So it's like that's the challenge for us. It's like, yo, after all these records, what is there left to say? And you always find something to say. Or like doing Everything Is Love was dope, because it's like the challenge of doing it on the road. And I'm sitting there, you know what I mean, recording vocals, and we were in rehearsal for the show, and we basically recorded that in like Superliners in France. Like in this big stadium, you know the Superliners where you go and watch the event? I had to set up a studio in there and get it done. And then at the end of that, it's like, yo, we gotta have this mixed in a certain amount of time. So it's like, okay, everybody huddle up. I'm about to call all these people. We about to come over here, and Tony Maserati, you get this, and you know, I'm gonna get this, and Stu, you get this, and then Leslie Brathwaite, you get this, and everybody get 2 records. And just go, you know, like sort of thing. So it's like learning from different people, and I'm still a student. I'm still standing behind Tony Maserati like as I was when I was 20-something years old, still watching him mix and learning stuff. You know, it's the same thing.
What do you think people don't apply these days that they should? You look at a lot of upcoming engineers that are out there. If there's one kind of jewel or nugget that you can give them, aside from always being a student,
finding your own style. That's the biggest thing. It's like find your style, find your voice. It's a way to do that. Because if you keep just copying, now mind you should know how to do what other people, like if somebody come in like with me, right? Auto-tune came in, and my clients didn't really use auto-tune, but I'm like, I have to know how to work this because this is dominating music. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you have to figure out what people are doing, but at the same time, you gotta find your style. If you find your style, then you become the top of the pyramid. You know what I mean? And other people will copy you. If you constantly copying somebody else, you'll never be the top of the pyramid.
And that's one thing that I was speaking to as well, just making sure that not only you taking pieces of what other people are doing, but applying it and make it your own.
Or figuring out how to interpret the artist. The artist ain't gonna know the technical term. You know what I'm saying? So like me and Jay was doing, I forget what Pharrell record I was doing. I don't know why I get so high up there. It's the life, right? So like Ali was saying, I'm thinking bang the drums and hard, and that's my signature, that's my thing. We all trying to like, we grew up worshiping Dr. Dre. But then Jay walked in the room and he was just like, oh, this ain't that type of record. It's supposed to sound, he said it's supposed to sound syrupy. And then he thought about it for a second. He said, you know what? It's supposed to sound what a dope fiend look like when they high leaning but don't fall all the way over. And that's the way he described how he wanted to sound. Because in the song, he is the drug. The metaphor is he's a drug, right? The girl is addicted to him. You know, and the bass, meaning, in technical terms, the bass is supposed to dominate. Now, that's supposed to be you know what I mean? The movement of the bass is supposed to be the feel of the record. But that's the way in no technical terms, he was like, cool. You know what a dope fiend look like when he's standing on the corner and he like this, but he don't fall all the way over? Yeah. That's how I want the record to sound.
All right, cool, I know. So, I mean, that's an amazing analogy. Now, are there things that you fought personally for it. If you could speak to one of those memories of a particular record, you know, you always have those studio sessions, but one thing that you like, no,
I fight all the time when I have a real strong opinion. I fight for the things, and I'm not always right. You know what I mean? I've made mistakes, but I fight for the things that I want. You know what I mean? And I feel like most of the time I'm correct. Or when I tell an artist don't do something, like a lot of like Freeway stuff is that first Freeway album is like Just and Free catching this vibe, and then Free trusting me when we sitting there doing the records, and it's just like that's why you'll hear at the beginning of the record he be like, oh, you want me to try that Free shit, girl? That's me and him having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's like, yo, or if Free do a whack record, I'm like, nah, that's not it. I'm not afraid, but he was such a creative artist that he'll try anything. So you gotta sometimes tell him like, that ain't it, bro. You know what I mean?
But that's real quick to cut you off. Like that's what an engineer's job is don't be a fucking fly on the wall. Have an opinion, nigga. Like you the one that's you the middle ground between the studio and the whole world. So if you with an artist, like literally, you know, they appreciate you keeping it real with them niggas more than you lying to be the yes man. If this shit is trash and they can do another take better, they will love you way more than you not saying shit in the trash verses out to the world. Be an asset to these niggas.
Is there a difference between, I don't want to sound sexist or anything like that, but you worked on Layla's Wisdom as well. Is there a difference between the energy that you have with Rhapsody and working with a woman versus a man, or is it all?
It's not a different energy just because she's a woman. I mean, it's a first of all, my first gig ever in the music business is DJing for Nonchalant, right? 5 o'clock in the morning. We went on the Fuji tour, right? In 1996. That's my very first tour. It's opening up for the Fugees with Lauryn Hill being kind of like the lead. Like Rod Digger has recorded at my house. So my whole thing sometimes is like centered around women, right? But it's different for Rhapsody because of the fact that she's on a label that me and Ninth run together. So I think she's my artist. And I don't want to say it like I own her, you know what I'm saying? But I'm looking at it different because of the fact that it's like, yo, this gotta be this, and this, and I get to say from the label head standpoint of what it is and watching her growth over the years. So it's not different just because she's a woman. It's just different because she's different and she's an artist. And I put so much into that because it's well, like I said, it's our artist. You know what I mean? Jamila is Ninth's label, but it's like I'm second in command. So then it's just like, yo, me holding Ninth down, but then holding Rhapsody down, but then coming up with ideas or just enhancing things, or just the way that we presented the album, or calling out to LA and being like, yo, we need Terrace Martin on this joint to play all these joints because we need to take our boom back of what we do and expand it, right? So that it's still a core there, you know what I mean? It's still a boom back that y'all love from Ninth and from Jamila, but we gotta expand it. This album can't be that, you know what I mean? We had the ultimate just alley-oop, you know what I mean? Because we couldn't predict the fact that Kendrick will call her and be like, yo, come get on this album. So when that alley-oop happened, you gotta be ready. Like, yo, throw this dunk down, and yo, I looked at her like, yo, it's go time. It's different now. This is the thing that we needed to get us above the noise, right? So she just keeps developing and developing and developing as an artist, and she wanted to make an album that celebrated black women. So it's like, yo, let's go. And she, you know, she made Eve, and she's naming every song after a prominent black woman. So it's like helping her with that vision is the only thing. It's not about her being a woman. It's about helping the artist with the vision. I don't want to make you who I think you're supposed to be. I want to help you be the best you. You know what I'm saying? And I'll ask questions to figure, even if you don't know who you are, we're going to figure it out together. But I'm not going to make you, that's where record labels was messing up before. It was like, yeah, or when I used to work, and it's no disrespect to nobody, but when I used to work at Def Jam, it's like this. It's like roll a cookie dough out, and we just put the thing and make another one and make another one and make it. And I'm like, yo, why is the marketing plan for MOP the same as Ludacris? These are two totally different things. Like, we gotta put MOP, like, they supposed to be on, like, this is black slam dance music. So they supposed to be in extreme sports and with the, you know what I mean, with the skaters and and then Ludacris is funny as hell, and he's supposed to be over here doing videos that look like what Busta Rhymes is doing. You know, like you can't just cookie cutter this. It gotta be specific for each artist. I'm talking about artists that's gonna win. You know, and for me, that's what I try to figure out is where we going in your career, and then that helps me sonically say where we gonna go. With Meeks Championships, we obviously, it was like, yo, we in the hole. Y'all, everybody counted my boy out. Everybody counted my boy out. We in the hole. So it's like, yo, we gotta come back, and it gotta feel like this. So that gives me a thing of where I'm supposed to go and make the music sound.
I think that's so important you said that about the sonics too, because like a lot of times what people advise is to venture out, listen to different things, right? So what's that fine line of listening to shit that you just don't fuck with, but you know, you may take or grab something from that?
I do that all the time.
I do it with the artist. Like I invest in the artist before I invest in the music. It's like if I can sit with you for 10 hours and not talk about music, we can talk about life, family, kids, smoking weed together, cracking jokes. You might be ugly, I'm uglier. Like that's the type of shit that I invest in. You know what I'm saying? Like even with my assistants, I tell people, you don't gotta know, you don't gotta be better than me, you don't gotta know it all, but you gotta want to be better than me. You know what I'm saying? Like having that drive is what inspires me to want to give you a chance, because like I want to see the fire up under you, that's gonna spark a fire up under me. You know what I'm saying?
But in terms of getting inspiration, or like what are you listening to these days? Like, is it not just hip hop? Like, what are the different sounds?
I listen to everything, so I'll be up on what's going on, right? And the great thing about it is my son keeps me in tune with like the real young. I tweeted that not too long ago, right? I was like,
I said, gift, you can't pay for that.
Right? So I was like, yo, Thanksgiving, I'm driving, my son got the aux. I'm like, yo, here, it's your turn to go, right? So he started playing Lil Tecca, he started playing The Baby, he started playing just a bunch of people that I was like, I'm not all the way up on their music, right?
Too young.
Polo G, like he was just playing, you know what I mean, young music. So I'm listening and I'm vibing, but I'm figuring out what is it about them songs that make my son like them songs. He's 16. He's not going to like or know about, you know what I mean? Only reason he know about Rakim is because I play it.
Right.
Only reason he know about Biggie is because I play it, or Pop is because I play it. But he's a 16-year-old that's into what 16-year-olds are into. Or I teach 18-year-olds. So I'm constantly in tune with what they like and don't like. But me, myself, I listen to everything. So like, my favorite album this year is the Brittany Howard album. You know what I'm saying? Like, that album is it for me. It's not even, you know what I mean? Outside of hip hop. Right. It's just it for me. I'm watching every interview to figure out how they engineered that album and what's going on. And it's just like, the sonics of that album is incredible. So I'm taking some of that. I listen to Adrian Young's work and just be like, yo, how is he doing that? You know what I mean? Or if I listen to the new Griselda, I'm like, yo, how did Beat Butcher play these joints? You know what I mean? So that there's no samples on there, but it got the feel, right, of what we did, like our classic feel, but with playing them joints.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not to take away from Darren, you know, Darren and Beat Butcher together, but it's just like that thing strikes me. So as much as I'm listening to and watching the movement and doing all this other stuff, I'm listening sonically to be like, yo, how did they play these joints and didn't make it sound like cheap keyboards?
Now, does that apply to different genres as well? Like, are there other things? Like, the only reason why I'm asking that is because maybe somebody out there may not be a country expert. They might not like testing their palate with different music, but they can still take shit from a different,
listening to country music. You better start listening to it.
I'm just using that as an example, but just different genres.
It's so many things to learn from country, and the stories is incredible. It's a study thing. You know what I mean? It's me studying sonics. It's not necessarily like I'm about to bump this in my car for enjoy. It's me literally studying sonics of all the different records that are out there, and taking something from that. That's it. Like, house music the same way. Or some people don't like EDM, but it's just like, yo, the rises and the effects and all. You better realize how to do that.
It's funny because like people always ask me like how I got my start, right? Like my brother was into like the whole Japanese culture and like import cars and all that. So like I came up under listening to like Alice DJ and real house music, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and all those effects that they did with the stutters and all that shit is I brought that to Section 80.
Wow.
So like all the old house, like real house techno music was like my first inspiration to like hip hop, like just trying to find a way to take all the stutters and the doubles and all type of crazy textures and bring it into hip hop.
Man, dude, I enjoyed this conversation. You guys got any questions out there? Any questions?
Girl, you know who Guru is?
Oh wait, hold on, yeah.
You know who Guru is?
Well, baby, give the mic. Hold on, gotta get the mic, homeboy. Tell him your name. And that's Guru right there. Alright, not me.
Yeah, nigga.
I got confused. I thought he was Guru. My bad.
Nah, nigga, no rebuttal.
My name's Alright, so my question was, how was it roll on the Big Mill album? Like, for example, when you got there, were the songs already mixed all the way, or did you have to adjust EQ, or what exactly did you do?
So Meek works with Cruz, right? Cruz is his recording engineer. Cruz was my assistant at Rock the Mic, right? That's how Cruz came to work for Meek Mill. So this is like a full circle thing of a guy that used to work underneath of me. I don't want to say he was specifically my assistant, he was an assistant for the studio. But he was somebody I took a liking to, right? He's a cool dude, he was there to learn. And when Meek came back and was just like, yo, I need somebody, I need a you. Cruz was in position. So Cruz worked with him and he gets a rough mix all the way together, he gets a vibe together. So then me naturally, unless it's something that is completely the texture of the sound, I kind of take everybody's shit off of the session because I have the 2-track, right? And I love having really good, well done roughs. So then I'm going back and forth between the roughs and I'm setting a sound. But it's just like, again, certain things be happening too fast. Street Runner wouldn't have had enough time if I was supposed to go to Africa. I was supposed to be flying to Africa to go do this show with J&B, right? And Jay, the same way he always does, gives us a verse like super late, right? Super late verse. So I had to push my flight back. So now I'm fitting this verse into the song, and it's just like, okay, now Ross is doing what he's doing. Cruz look at me and he like, yo, your man just spit like a 64 bar thing. He like, you're not gonna body Meek like that. So we took Meek and then put his 2 things together to make that center section. Then I'm doing drops. Then I'm doing all these filters because I'm like, J verse so long, it can't be just a regular, like, just these drops. So that's when you start hearing all these filters and all this other stuff, build ups, you know what I mean? It's like to make each section, almost, I was trying to do like every 4 bars is kind of like something different. So that's what it is. It's like adding on, but Cruz is really good at setting the tone of what the records is going to be.